Hey.
What you getting?
Just about to kick off. 27 seconds.
Cool. Who you got on?
Me. My guest canceled because their autistic son was having a breakdown, so they had to drive to Nashville.
That's sad.
Yeah. But yeah, I gotta go in.
Alright, I love you. I see you.
Love you too.
Where's your keys?
In the vehicle, I think.
Yeah, I'd rather run that. Plus, I want to see how the brake job worked.
Yeah, I took it to the store to get some water. It seemed pretty good. There was some squeaking, but you keep putting the brake on, and I think that's what it was. But
and it's gonna squeak because it's new pads on, not new rotors, till they wear into the grooves.
Okay. Welcome, Wapham crew, new listeners, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, and foes. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in Colorful, Colorado. It is Sunday, April 2nd, Monday, April 3rd. For those of you across the pond and beyond, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to you. And thank you so much for joining us this evening on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Oh, if you're listening to us live, I appreciate it. And you may be listening to us on KPNL Radio, which you can find on KPNL Radio at kpnl-db.com. You may also find us on eTalk Radio, which you can find on eTalk Radio at etalk.tv/radio. You may also find us live on Facebook, if you're watching here right now, Twitch, as well as YouTube. If you want to listen to us on your free time, whether you're working it, or working out, make sure you go mosey on over to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like any video that you've watched or listened to, and leave us any comments, whether good or bad. We want to hear it all. I want to hear all that dirty stuff. Anywho's. So if you're listening to us on your free time, you can listen to us under We Are Paradox Media at Spreaker, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Tumblr, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, and Podvine. So unfortunately, life happens, and so our guest this evening is not available. We were supposed to have Mr. and Mrs. J. and Marie Yates on this evening, and they had a family issue, and family comes first. So no worries, we're going to reschedule, so we'll do a later date with them. Yeah, so guess what? Story time, me and you, let's do this. Yeah, bring it. Come on. Bring it in. So we did this last night as well, but I don't know. I apologize. I'm sorry. It's kind of like repetitious, and my hair is getting in my mouth. But at the same time, I've been actually enjoying this book. I don't know if you have, but it's Death by Mr. Robert Wilkins, A History of Man's Obsessions and Fears. It's been getting pretty willy-nilly, and with a lot of the stuff going on recently, we're kind of close to that. I don't know. Do you guys have experiences, etc.? Let me pull this up to my Facebook really quick, like I did last night. Then I'm going to have to turn it down because it's going to be kind of loud. What the crack? Why is it not on here? Let me go home and go back here and see. There we are. Okay. Let me go home and go back here and see. So it looks like everything's working good. I don't see any comments, but I'm going to put this on my little holder here. My poor light over here went out, so that's unfortunate, but bear with me. Grr. So we've been reading in this book, and there's a lot of interesting text and pictures. And I will share pictures with you along the way. But lessons from abroad. So basically, this last chapter is about 20th century embalming. That's been pretty grotesque. I don't know if you watch Watcher online, but yeah, they've been doing recently like video games, and then also there was a video game that they played recently that was about being a mortician's assistant, and that was pretty interesting. Like they take the blood out one side, put the embalming fluid in the other side, and yeah, it's been pretty intense. And they had to do different things, go around, find different codes, etc., etc. But I would play that game. That'd be pretty cool. So here we go. Lessons from abroad. Walker wrote in 1839 about London's insanitary graveyards, more than 70 years after the Parliament of Paris had taken action against the dangers of health posed by rotting carrion. All the churchyards of the French capital were henceforth to be closed to burials for at least 5 years. Furthermore, 8 cemeteries were to be established some distance away from the city to serve the needs of 8 metropolitan parishes. The new law was not universally popular, since richer families still regarded burial in church as a birthright. Fresh pleas were made to the nobility to abandon their pride and vanity for the greater good of their fellow citizens. The noblest Frenchman of them all, Louis I believe that's the 15th, was their fellow citizens. The noblest Frenchman of them all was persuaded to give the royal seal of approval when a large area of the forest of Satori at Versailles was designated a cemetery. But mere closure of the city graveyards was not enough. In 1786, it was decided to move all the bodies out of the cemetery of the innocents and transport them to catacombs hewn out of the quarries in the southern part of the city. It was an immense and awesome undertaking. On the night of April 7th, a long procession of funeral carts bearing the freshly cleaned bones of tens and thousands of people plied its route by torchlight to the chanting of priests. Identification of the individual remains was clearly impossible, so it was decided to arrange the bones into rows of skulls, femurs, humeruses, and so on. It is variously estimated that the catacombs contain the remains of between 3 to 6 million human beings. In addition to the catacombs, 4 centuries were built in Paris. Okay, so is the sound too loud? Hi, Mike. Welcome back. So is the background music too loud? Just let me know. If so, like I can turn it down a bit, but kind of looks like it's matching my voice. In addition to the catacombs, 4 cemeteries were built in Paris in order to accommodate the dead. Père-Lachaise, Montmartre, Vaugirard of Montparnasse, the first named after the confessor of Louis XV, or 14th, I think it is probably the most celebrated burial ground in the world, though its beginnings were less than auspicious. If Napoleon had been buried there, as was his intention, instead of on St. Helena, the businessmen who had invested money in the cemetery would have slept more easily. As it was, they were moved to mount a huge publicity campaign to try to persuade Parisians to be buried there. They even dug up the bones of famous Frenchmen and women who had been buried elsewhere and re-interred them in the cemetery. Molière, La Fontaine, Heloise in Abelard, and Beaumarchais. Ironically, it was the burial of persons who had never lived that finally gained Pete Lachaise popularity. Hey, Dan. How's it going? Good to see you, buddy. So the novelist, Honoré de Balzac, took to burying many of his fictional characters in Père Lachaise. Every Sunday, Parisians would come in droves and ask to see the tombs, which Balzac had described in such great detail. Henceforth business boomed. Within its walls now rests the illustrious dead of France, including Balzac, Hugo, Edith Piaf, Abelard, and Heloise, and Colette, Beaumarchais, and Proust. Internal representatives include Chopin, Oscar Wilde, and Modigliani, and Sarah Bernhardt, and Jim Morrison of the Doors group. I love that guy. Okay, so here we have a picture. I had to turn back. And this is a mechanical ramp by means of which coffins were transferred from the chapel above to the catacombs below at Kensal Green Cemetery in London. Check it out. Oh, hold on. I can't even see what I'm doing. Go back over here. Creepy. He's like, let's go up, up, up. Jim Morrison. I know. When I went to Louisiana, I thought he was there, but I know Jimi Hendrix was buried there, not Jim Morrison. But I got confused for a second, and so I was looking for that particular person. Lessons from Abroad. Walker wrote in 1839 about London's insanity graveyards, more than 70 years after the Parliament of Paris had taken action against the dangers to health posed by rotting carrion. All the churchyards of the French capital were henceforth to be closed to burials for at least 5 years. Furthermore, 8 cemeteries were to be established some distance away from the city. To serve the needs of 8 metropolitan parishes, I feel like I've read this before. The new law was not universally popular, since richer families still regarded burial in church as a birthright. Fresh pleas were made to the nobility to abandon their pride and vanity for the greater good of their fellow citizens. The noblest Frenchman of them all, Louis, I'm telling you, I've read this, Louis the 15th, was persuaded to give the royal seal of approval when a large area of the forest of Satori at Versailles was designated a cemetery. But mere closure of the city graveyards was not enough. In 1786, it was decided to move all the bodies out of the cemetery to the Innocents and transport them to the catacombs hewn out of the quarries. Yes, I did read this. So, laggardly London. When Paris led the way and New York followed close behind, London dragged its feet. In 1843, the builder expressed its dismay. This London, the center of civilization, this condensation of wisdom and intelligence, this huge wedge of conglomerate of pride buries, no, it does not bury, but stores and piles up to 50,000 of its dead to putrefy, to rot, to give out, but stores exhalations, to darken the air with vapors, foe. Even as late as 1850, an anonymous poem entitled City Graves appeared in Household Words. The toilet at his work can see the tombs of his mouldering kin, and the living without grow day by day, more like the dead within. I saw from out the earth peep forth the white and glistening bones, with jagged ends of coffin planks, that e'en the worm disowns, and once a smooth round skull rolled on, like a football on the stones. The risks to health were not confined to the inhalation of pestilent vapors. Sometimes the very water people drank was supplied by springs that tracked through graveyards. St. George's in the east had a pump which provided drinking water to the locality until, during a cholera scare, the Reverend Harry Jones hung up a placard announcing "Dead Men's Broth." Charles Dickens, when he heard the pump being used to draw water, would conjure up images of the dead posturing. "Let us lie here in peace. Don't suck us up and drink us." Ew, that's kind of grody. What the crack? And that's what I was talking about last night. Like, okay, so they're talking about polluted waters and these pipes and all these other things happening. What about the people in the ground, like polluting the springs all around? Like, they've kind of been disseminated and they've been embalmed. Hello, Mr. Morris. Yay, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad it sounds good. So good to see you, Scotland's Edge. You're one of my favorite people, I must say. In the first quarter of the 19th century, despite an ever-increasing population, the citizens of London continued to be buried, either in churchyards or in privately owned areas. And these were done within the city limits. So the calls for the establishment of cemeteries sited away from centers of population grew even louder. So the Rosary, the first English polis, followed 6 years later. Okay, so the first English cemetery was finally opened in 1819 in Norwich. The Liverpool necropolis followed 6 years later. It was not until 1830 that a barrister, George Carden, formed the London Cemetery Company to provide public interment for Londoners. In 1832, hold on, I'm going to get a hairball if I don't get this out. The company opened London's first public cemetery at Kensal Green. The first interment was Margaret Gregory on 31 January 1833. Here, at long last, the dead could be hygienically committed to the ground in 54 acres of landscape splendor, far away from the living. Burial at Kensal Green was expensive, the cheapest grave costing about 30 shillings, compared with the 12 shillings charged at Inham Chapel. But Enon could not match the classical grandeur of Kensal Green, with its hydraulic lift to lower the coffins from the Anglican chapel into the depths of the catacombs below. In the 39 acres of consecrated ground awarded to members of the established church, and in the 15 acres given over to Turks, Jews, infidels, and heretics, and unbaptized folk, the dead could rest undisturbed in perpetuity under any form of memorial they wished. Gothic spires and pinnacles, Doric and Ionic columned mausoleums, or Egyptian obelisks. From the very beginning, Kensal Green was the place in which to be buried. This early success can be put down. Oh my God, something's coming.
All the dogs got out.
Out the front?
Yeah.
Okay, so where's Nova?
They just now left.
Nova left?
Yeah.
What the crack, dude?
You're the only one with us.
Oh my God. Can you open the door and call the dogs?
I was calling them, but they wouldn't come. Blue's following Herc. Herc's going down the driveway. Lulu's following Herc, and Herc's following Zoe.
Holy shit, dude. Oh my God. Let me call your dad. Holy shit, this is not good. So who opened the door? Did you guys open the door to let the puppy
I
in?
was the last one out, and I was just about to close the door, and then...
Damn it.
Yeah, the puppy was out there, and then Zoe went after the puppy, and that clogged up the door, and so did Herc's head, and then Blue came out.
Oh my god.
But Bean's still in.
Babe,
Bean's still in.
so Floyd's in here right now, and he said all the dogs got out just now.
All the dogs got out. Okay, we're at Speedway. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, because I guess they all just followed each other down the driveway. I don't know what to do. Hopefully when you come out, you can whistle for them and they'll come, but I don't know.
Okay, Luis is in the Speedway.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Holy fuck.
Blue was following Herc. The
Say
puppy
hi.
was... Hi. So,
All right,
Blue
love you, babe.
Blue... Yeah. Blue was following Herc, the puppy was following Blue, and then
Oh, no.
Herc was following Zoe.
This is not good.
I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to run as fast as I can.
Okay,
because
so
I can
Dad's
really
at
run
the
with
Speedway. He just barely left, so he's going to try to get the dogs.
this. I'm
Okay.
gonna go help.
Thank God. Holy shit. Had he been further away, I would be like, cut and take. We're done. Shit. Holy shit. It's like, what the hell? So they're letting the dogs in, and okay, so the puppy is very tiny. And Zoe, she's my hippo piggy woo. So, she's a wide glide. Like, she's about as wide as me coming through the door. And then all the dogs got out. Holy fuck. I'm so glad that Vern's there. Okay, let's try to find our way back in this book. Damn. Okay, read that. Sorry. I have congestion from a cold. It's not good. Oh, let me send this. I meant to send this earlier. Holy shit. This is not good. Okay, burial at Kensal Green was expensive. I already talked about that. From the beginning of Kensal Green was the place in which to be buried. The early success can be put down to the internment of one man, Augustus Frederick, Duke of Sussex, 1773 to 1843. It was he, more than any other, who made the cemetery an acceptable place to be the burial of the so appalled at the chaos that attended the internment of King William the Fourth. Is that the fourth? Or is that the sixth? I don't know. I'm so bad at Roman numerals, I have to say. At Windsor in 1837, and he forthwith resolved to be buried at Kensal Green. A host of lesser royals followed, including George III's daughter, Princess Sophia, 1777 to 1848. It's funny because I look at my my lineage, and it was crazy because like my dad's side is totally Irish. My mom's side is Irish too, but there's a lot of royalty in there, and so I'm just like, when I read this, I'm like, is that somebody I'm related to? And then the girl I caretake for, sorry, getting my hair out of my face. She's like, if you're related to this royalty, how come you're not rich? I'm like, well, luck of the Irish. That's how it goes. Fuck, I can't believe the dogs got out. Anyways, let's try to continue. So, visitors to the cemetery can still peep through the windows of the Duke of Cambridge's mausoleum and gaze at his coffin placed upon a shelf on the right-hand side. To the left, one on top of the other, rest the coffins of his wife and mistress. So fashionable did Kensal Green become that it can still boast the greatest number of royals buried outside Windsor and Westminster Abbey. The variety of people buried in Kensal Green matches the variety of the architecture. Here were laid to rest in Sombard Kingdom, Brunel, the 18 engineer novelist Wilkins, Thackeray and Trauble, and Blondin, who walked the tightrope across Niagara Falls. Good to go. Good for you. James Barrie, 1788 to 1865, was an army surgeon who became Inspector General of Hospitals. It was only at his death that the absence of a penis decreed that he was, in fact, a woman who had successfully concealed her true gender throughout a long and active career in the forces. So it's so funny to me how, like, oh, well, you're a woman, so you can't do this job. Like, really? We're hacking off pieces and we're throwing shit out the window. Pretty sure a woman can do this just as well as a man. I don't know. Here, let me get back over here. Am I frozen up? Let me see what's going on here. Everything seems to be going good so far. I hope it keeps going good. Oh, yeah. All right, let's keep going. What do you think? But yeah, this is pretty grotesque and gruesome. But yeah, I remember, like, there's certain places over there in, like, Pennsylvania and other places like that that are very haunted because there was hospitals and Civil War grounds and everything like that. And yeah, limbs and legs and whatever were thrown out the window into piles, and they just piled up, and then somebody had to take it away. And I think a lot of these were buried in mass graves, but not very cool. So in Kendall Green's is London's most disguised or distinguished cemetery. Highgate is its most romantic, overlooking the capital. The cemetery affords an unparalleled setting in which to while away eternity. Slowly, the friends of Highgate Cemetery are pushing back the overgrowth and repairing the crumbling masonry to reveal again the grandeur of this Victorian Valhalla. Highgate Cemetery, founded in 1839 by the London Cemetery Company, was always meant to be enjoyed by the living, and very soon it became a favorite place for Victorians to go promenading on a Sunday afternoon. And as for the dead, so popular did the cemetery become, especially when the ban on churchyard burials finally came into force in 1852. That more land was soon needed on the other side as Swains Lane to accommodate all those wishing to be buried there. The west and east cemeteries were linked by a tunnel under the road which is still in existence, through which the coffin was carried after it had been lowered on a hydraulic lift in the floor of the Anglican chapel. Although the monuments in Highgate are not of the variety of quality of those at Kensal Green, the Egyptian catacombs, built in a circle around an ancient cedar tree, stand today in magnificent and romantic decay. I want to go there and see it. Welcome back, Jason. Towering above the Egyptian catacombs is the vast mausoleum of Julius Beer, Victorian owner of the Observer newspaper. This fucking gray hair is like taunting me. Like Kensal Green, Highgate catered predominantly for the most mortem needs of Anglicans, and the area given over to the dissenters was small and relatively unsalubrious. How then did Beer, a Jew, come to occupy the most favored site in the whole of the cemetery? Wealth? I don't know. But Beer was able to buy the plot for £800 and built this huge edifice, which was modeled impressively on the original mausoleum at Halicarnassus. Many years was obliged to make the significant concession to Anglican sensitives. His mausoleum had to be roped with a cross, the quintessential Christian symbol. The West Cemetery was a profusion of petrified animals. Pet cemetery? Maybe? I don't know. I don't know if you guys hear that howling in the back. Like, that is really distracting me. Anywho's, George Womwell made his money from importing wild animals, including...
We got Zoe.
And the baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just got Blue.
So Blue and...
Herc.
I hear somebody back here. Did you guys look in the side yard? Because I hear a dog barking back there.
We were in the side yard.
Well, I hear somebody barking back there.
Ran down the field.
Oh, well, if he's in the field, he's okay. Just as long as they don't go towards the highway.
Away. We don't see him.
Yeah. Mm.
He's somewhere at the house.
Is that howling I hear? Is that Lily yelling for the dog?
Yeah. She's yelling for Blue, and I showed her the loud clap thing where you cup your hands.
I go. Or,
I
wait.
can't whistle.
If you can't whistle, go, weet. Something like that. I should be going on break here in about 25 minutes, but I'm sorry, dude. Like, that's scary. But did Dad come back? Because I called him and he was at the store and they're looking for the dogs.
Yeah, they were looking for the dogs down here too.
Okay.
Nova got Lily, and Zoe came back herself.
Yeah, Zoe's a pretty good dog. And Lulu generally follows her.
They got in their car, and I told them I heard him.
Well, I just heard a dog barking back there.
No, not back there. That was Blue. But
so Blue's back?
I went down. No,
Blue's
he's
here?
not. No, he's in the field.
Oh, well, I just heard him barking back here.
That he does very loud barks.
I know. He's very loud and obnoxious.
So, I heard her back there when I was at the end of the driveway.
Well, go help your sissy. She's out there alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job,
boy.
He's either down at the speedway or he's way back to the right when you.
Hopefully they're in the field and not by the highway. That's a bad place for dogs. Whew. Holy shitards. Drama for your mama. Okay, so I'm trying to find my place. However, he was obliged to make a significant concession to Anglican sensitives. His mausoleum had to be topped with a cross and quintessentially Christian symbol. Sorry, I'm tongue-tied. The West Cemetery was a profusion of petrified animals. George Womwell made his money from importing wild animals, including... Okay, this is where I was. The first boa constrictors ever to be seen in Britain, and a giraffe, which costs B9, sleeping lion, John... Okay, which cost him a fortune and which probably broke his neck. Oh no. The rest beneath of benign sleeping lion, John Atcheller, horse slaughterer to Queen Victoria, has a grave marker by a statue of a horse described by one early critic as monstrosity, which today stands legless and deaf, its 4 legs and its ears having been hacked off by vandals. Tom Sayers, bare-fisted pugilist, died a popular hero with 100,000 mourners attending his funeral, his dog given the place of honor at the head of Sayers' funeral cortege and wearing a black roof around its neck. Is commemorated in a stone guarding his master's grave. Conspicuous by the absence of dogs is the grave of George Croft, 1852 to 1938, founder of the world-famous dog show. So here we have a picture of rows of coffins in decaying splendor in the catacombs of Kensal Green Cemetery, London. For there is good news yet to hear and find things to be seen before we go to paradise by way of Kensal Green. And this is by G.K. Prestron. Check it out. Poor Lily, I feel bad she's out there doing that. I will go help on music break, which is going to be good. We got Mia Savage, Antidote for Savages during the break. So the most visited grave of Highgate is also the most grotesque. An outsized bust of Karl Marx looks severely down, extolling workers of all lands to unite to change the world. Something of Marx's private world is revealed by the fact that he, like the Duke of Cambridge at Kensal, is revealed by the fact that so the Kensal at Green shares his grave with both wife and mistress. Oh, lucky fella. You get to share your grave with your wife and your mistress? Good for you. Dook, dook. Damn. Never mind. I'm not going to say the name. I'm going to be like, Dave something. What? The somberness of Marx is offset somewhat by an in-joke of the Friends of Highgate Cemetery. On the other side of the path lies Herbert Spencer, the philosopher who coined the phrase survival of the fittest. It is fitting, therefore, that this corner of the cemetery is known as Marx and Spencer's. For feminists who may be indignant that men share their graves with their wives and mistresses, perhaps the imbalance is somewhat redressed by the female novelist George Eliot, who was buried in Highgate next to her husband, John Cross, and opposite her lover, George Lewis. Oh no, we lost another one. But yeah, isn't that funny? So men can, have mistresses, but females of high power can have misters. Hey, mister, what you doing? Another famous female novelist is also buried with her lover, Radcliffe Hall, author of The Well of Loneliness, shares her catacomb with Mabel Veronica Batten. The love of these two women for one another had shocked Edwardian society. Batten died suddenly in 1960, Hall not until 1943, and it was the intention of her second lover, Una Troubridge, to join the other two women when she herself died. Unfortunately, Troubridge died in Rome in 1963 and was buried in Italy. Other notables resting in the rich Highgate clay include Michael Faraday, chemist and physicist, William Foyle, who founded what has become the world's largest bookshop, Mrs. Henry Wood, the melodrama version of whose novel East Line contains the immortal line, "Dead, and never called me mother," and Robert Liston, the surgeon resurrectionist. What the fuck? Resurrectionist? That's fucking crazy. Excuse my French. That's kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Hoy vey. Who amputated his patient's limbs and his assistant's digits with equal dexterity. Well, good for him. Highgate has witnessed three famous exhumations. The reader is reminded of Dante Rossetti's retrieval of poems which he had been rash enough to bury next to his wife's cheek. Oh yeah, I read this earlier, like they had to dig her up just to get this back from her, because he's like, okay, yes, I buried it with her because I love her, but I need to dig this back up and publish it. So that's what they did. Damn! Okay, so it was buried next to his wife's cheek. Was guilt the reason he had elected to be buried at All Saints, Birkington, and Kent, Karl Marx and his family present site to enable busloads of Chinese tourists to find him more easily. The third exhumation took place in 1907 amid a blaze of publicity whipped up by the yellow press. Thomas Charles Drews, who owned a shop in Baker Street, had supposedly died in 1864 and was buried at Highgate. 15 years later, in 1879, when the fifth Duke of Portland died, Drews's family made the remarkable claim that Drews and the Duke were one and the same man. They contended that the Duke had led a double life, part aristocrat, part shopkeeper, and that he had been able to maintain this elaborate charade by using a tunnel which connected the shop in Baker Street to his residence in Cavendish Square. To add credence to their account, Drews's relatives pointed out that no one had ever seen Drews and the Duke in the same place at the same time. When finally the Duke tired of his double life, he conspired to kill off his alter ego and to continue the rest of his life as a hermit in Welbeck Abbey, his country seat. The Portland millions were at the bottom of this fantasy. In order to get their hands on the money, Drews's relatives claimed that Duke as their father and themselves as his heirs. They demanded as exhumation to prove to the world that the Drews's coffin was filled with lead weights. Incredibly, the authorities agreed to their request. Fully 19 years after Drews's death, on a December morning, the coffin was brought to the surface, its lid removed, and the inner lead casing opened. Inside is the shrouded body of an old bearded man who was identified from photographs as Thomas Charles Drews. The public immediately lost interest in the story, and consequently, no one has ever thought to exhume the Duke to see whether or not he was actually in residence. Let's see what time it is. Okay, we still got time. It is hard for those of us living in the 1990s to imagine the grisly horror of the overcrowded and insanitary burial grounds of Dickens' London, but there still remains one which affords us such a glimpse into the past. It is Bunhill Fields, the dissenters' Camposanto, the sole remaining burial ground within the present city of London. To stroll through Bunhill is to take a step back in time. In 1549, can you imagine? That's a long time ago. The Carnal Chapel in St. Paul's Churchyard was pulled down and 1,000 cartloads of bones were transported and deposited on Moorish ground. In Finsbury Field, Bunhill is probably a corruption of Bone Hill. Burials on the site did not commence until the mid-17th century. But so popular did Bunhill become that by its closure in 1853, 120,000 interments had taken place. Bunhill Fields is like no other burial ground in London. Sedate chest tombs, tightly packed headstones, and the virtual absence of angels.
Mom, he's not coming back, but we see something black.
Blue?
Yeah.
Okay. So did Dad take the Dodge or my car?
Your car.
He did? Okay. Because there's a flashlight in there that it's got a very big scope on it where you can like magnify and like do bright lights, but it's in the car, so. Dad's
bright
out there
lights.
looking for the dogs too. So you guys are doing this. I still hear Lily calling, but
Yeah, I
Dad's
know.
out there looking too. It'll be okay.
He's in the field. Please come on, Mom.
Okay, dude, I'm almost on break. I have about 5 to 8 minutes. But I'll come out and help you, okay?
Okay.
I love you. Don't be sad. It'll be okay. He'll come back. He's a good boy. Don't be sad, boy. I love you. It'll be okay. He'll come back. He's a good boy. Okay. Oh, poor Floyd. Okay, so where were we? So in 1549, the Carnal Chapel in St. Paul's churchyard was pulled down, and 1,000 cartloads of bones were transported and deposited on Moorish ground. In Finsbury Field, Bunhill is probably a corruption of mid-17th century. Yes, I already read this. Bunhill Fields is like no other burial ground in London. Sedate chest tombs, tightly packed headstones, and the virtual absence of angels, crosses, draped urns, and broken columns set Bunhill apart. Its tombstones like a who's who of English nonconformism, George Daniel Defoe, author of Robinson Crusoe, John Bunyan, preacher and author of Pilgrim's Progress, and Susanna Wesley, mother of John and Charles. Praise God, Barebones, who gave his name to the Barebones Parliament of 1653, and sundry descendants of Oliver Cromwell. One famous inscription tells of the vicissitudes of Mary Page, who died in 1728 of a failing heart which necessitated fluid being drained from her abdomen. So here we have the burial ground in 1866. I feel so bad. These kids are trying so hard. So here's another picture. A section through Thomas Wilson's Pyramid Cemetery, designed to be higher than St. Paul's Cathedral, with alcoves to provide the last resting place for, what the fuck? 5,167,104 Londoners. So in 67 months, she was tapped 66 times, had taken away 240 gallons of water, without ever ripening at her case or even fearing the operation. Oh my God. Look at this. This is insane. Ew. That's gross. Jason, look at the road. Don't look at this. My own favorite is an inscription which enshrines the nonconformist sentiments concerning friendship even unto this grave. So it says, Mrs. Elizabeth Raynor, early allied in blood to the illustrious house of Percy, deemed a still greater honor to be the friend and fellow worshipper of Mr. and Mrs. Lindsay, and by her own desire was deposited in the same grave. Friendship, pure, simple, and eternal, with none of the undertones of Marx or the Duke of Cambridge. A similar instance occurred in Godalming, Surrey, in 1875. William Bishop directed that his grave be made sufficiently large to receive 2 coffins, the second intended for his servant, in gratitude for her long and, I believe, faithful services to me. Before leaving the subject of London cemeteries, it is instructive to look at one idea that never got beyond the drawing board. Thomas Wilson took his inspiration from the Egyptian pyramids and set about designing a brick and granite faced pyramid to accommodate 5 million bodies, and brick and granite faced pyramid to niches arranged on 94 tiered levels. This vast construction, oh my gosh.
Text Dad and tell him that we think we found him.
Yeah?
We saw a black blob and it was moving.
Yeah?
Yeah, but
Guess what? I have about 5 minutes and then I'll come out and help you, okay?
no, text Dad now.
No, I called Dad. Dad's out there looking right now.
Yeah, but we think we found him.
Yeah, is he in the field?
Yeah.
Just playing around?
Past the second gate from ours.
Yeah. Yeah, he's over there, like close to the sheep and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he's a herd dog. Like, he's a black German shepherd, like shepherd dog. So he's probably attracted to animals, but he'll come back. But yeah, I have like 5 more minutes on the show.
Well, we better do something fun so that the time goes faster.
Something fun?
Yeah. Probably jumping on the trampoline.
Like eat popcorn and watch scary movies?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then if it's more than 5 minutes and you come out while we're in the middle of it, you can text Dad. He'll get blue.
I already called him, and he was at the Speedway, and they were waiting for Elise to come out. So she probably finally came out, and then now they're driving around trying to find these damn freaking dogs.
Can you tell him where he's at?
No, he's doing his own thing, so when I go to break, I'll come out and take care of that.
I think Blue's sleeping. He's definitely not dead.
He's definitely not dead, but he's definitely not sleeping. He's just having fun.
Well, he's not running away. He found this spot that he likes to hang out in.
Yeah, probably by the foxes.
Probably.
Yeah, there's foxes out there in the little, like, alcoves, like where the ditch drain is. They dug little holes, and that's where the foxes live. So he's probably like, hey, foxes, I'm close and familiar to you.
There's no doe around that area,
Yeah.
so Blue won't run away.
No, he won't. He's a good boy. He'll stay close.
Yeah, he just...
But I think Bean and Herc, they'll run far and wide.
Herc is in...
But Zoe and little Lulu, she's back, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Herc is not outside. We did not see him.
I know, Herc is a bad boy. Like, he likes to run and run and run. He should fucking be, like,
He's not outside. I was on the first step and I only saw Blue.
No, he's outside. Like, he's far and wide. Like, he should be a husky because that's how much he runs. But him and Bean are probably down at the park or somewhere looking for dogs to beat up because they have fun with that.
I am telling you that Herc is not outside.
Is he here?
I was on the first step. I would have seen him.
Is he here?
I would have seen him.
Is he here?
Probably.
If he's here, then he's here. If not, he's outside and he's running amok. Him and Bean, they're buddies. They're like this. They're like, let's go. And they've gotten in trouble before. And it's kind of sad, but Dad might have to put him down because last time they beat up another dog, they didn't really hurt him, but it wasn't cool.
We are not putting down Herc, Bean, or Blue.
It's not up to us. If something happens and the law says, oh, this has happened again, we might have to. But hopefully Dad finds him. So Dad's out there trying, and I heard you out there yelling and wee, and like trying to get the dogs back. So good job. Give me a high five. You kicked ass on that.
We could just never let the dogs out again if they...
I know, and it's just like you guys were trying to let Hippo Piggy Woo and the puppy in, and they got out.
Yeah. Which Floyd says it's his fault for not closing the door.
It's okay.
So
he didn't close it?
Yeah, but it was my fault because I didn't even think about closing the door.
Well, at least you guys are sharing the blame, and that's good. You guys have a little comeuppance. Like, you guys can be partners in this.
The also problem was Floyd was in his shark blankie. And
I know, he came in here
and he couldn't run.
He's like,
that was most of my fault.
But even if you could run, you can't keep up with the dogs. Like, they run so fast and so far. Especially Herc and Bean. They're just like, gone.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You see him now, you don't.
Yep.
Love you, Mom.
Love you too, Bug. Well, I was going to continue to read, but on that note, boys and girls, we do have to go to our first music break. So on this break, we have Ms. Mia Savage with her group Antidote for Savages with Your Skeleton, Lemurian Crypto, Let Me Be Your Home, and Our New Reality. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break. Sorry, Santa, I'm going to be out just in a second. For some reason, I got cut off on this. I think I pressed the wrong button. But I'll come out. I'm sorry, boy.
We can't find my jacket, and no one told me to get a jacket.
I saw your jacket in the back of the Nissan.
You did?
Yep.
This one time I didn't wear Lily's jacket. That jacket is in the truck. Mama. Can you go down to the police station and ask them if we can go down to the field? We've been in the field before. No, we haven't. Yeah, we have. A long time ago. Well then.
All the shit daddy brings.
You want to be you don't need much that he prays anymore. You're mine, you're mine.
Yeah, for sure. Go.
Thanks. Love you.
Love you too. Welcome back. What the heck is going on here? So I'm going to have to end the broadcast and